I'm Ruby. I've been in the space for quite a long time. Right now, I run my own outsourced team. I have a team of 20 developers. I've worked on a lot of big projects, high TVLs in the hundreds of millions. Built AI, blockchain, smart contracts, audited a lot of things. I've seen many things in the space, basically. So I'm going to give a few tips on how to build and when you're building. So obviously, security first, right? We're handling assets, people's money. And it's, I think, the second highest responsibility is when you're handling people's money. I think number one is health and life, and in the second it's money. You know, it's also related to health and life. So there are 4 rules that I think are very important. Basically, it's keep it simple, prepare for failure, use open source, and obviously you need to plan ahead. So what I mean by keeping it simple, the code that you know, your developers or you are doing, it needs to be simple, because by keeping it simple, you allow other people to see and read your code very coherently, and you also allow no bugs. When you keep the code simple, you basically I forgot what I wanted to say about it. Prepare for failure, which I wasn't prepared right now, and you saw what happened. So when you run the code, you need to be ready for failure, right? So what I mean by that is you need to prepare for doomsday, okay? And by doomsday, I mean when things go bad. I was running a centralized bridge, and then we transformed it to a decentralized bridge. At every point, we had a plan to what's happening, right? You handle people's assets, you handle money. You need to always be ready for when bad things happen, because when there's money involved, people are going to come for it, and you need to be ready for when it happens, right? You need to protect your users. If there's anything you can do, you know, whether if it's a centralized app, you need to be able to stop any activity that the validators are doing, or any activity that, you know, your server is doing, or the smart contracts. Or if it's a decentralized app, you need to prepare a vote to stop, basically, you know, so people can vote to pause activity. Using open source, right? As a builder and as people who build, we want to always build stuff, right? There's some solution. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you want to build a store, okay? So it seems simple at first, right? You know, you put some products on a web page, people can come and they can add them to their carts. Everything very simple, but there's a lot more to it. And as you develop and build things, you see that it unravels itself to becoming more complex. So using open source also keeps you secure as well, because usually, I mean, this is something that you need to check when you're using an open source. It's been developed by many people. It's been looked in by many people. Many people have used it, right? There's a lot of real-world use cases for the item that you are using, for the software that you'll be using. And it might have been audited as well. I can give examples. You know, there's like when people want to, I don't know, stake, do like vesting periods. You know, there's this famous Open Zeppelin product that's been used by millions of people. And it's a very safe thing to use, rather than building your own solution, which is very simple, but there's many small things that you need to pay attention to. Plan ahead. Planning ahead it's easy to say, but when you're building a software, you need to plan ahead security-wise. You need to see what you'll be doing. Okay, I can give a personal example of not planning ahead, which brought on months of stress and development. I was working on a very big project. There was a very high TVL. There was $200 million in the smart contract. And the guys, they wanted to change it, okay? So we did plan ahead. We put in the option to upgrade it, which I'm very against, but they really insisted. So we planned for months. Okay, because of the failure to plan ahead, we needed to practice and to test and test and test many times, because this contract had a huge TVL and a lot of users. Okay, so we upgraded this contract on the Ethereum network. After that, I didn't sleep for, I slept for 3 days. It was so nerve-wracking. But you need to think very carefully before you launch the smart contract, because first thing, not all smart contracts are upgradable, and if they are upgradable, it's very scary to do it when there is high usage and a lot of money in the contract. Convey trust. Okay, let's move to something else than security. Security can be boring, but it's very important, guys. It should be taken very seriously. So you need to convey trust, right? The app needs to convey trust. Everything you do needs to convey trust, because users are very skeptical. So what does robust UI mean? Okay, so this is, you know, when you use Windows and when stuff breaks, it tells you it breaks, you know, there's always new errors, and you always know what's happening, sort of, okay? I mean, a better example would be Apple, because I'm an Apple guy, but you need to show the user what's happening at all times, what is going on. If there's an error, there needs to be a pop-up saying there's an error. If there is, you need allowance from the user to use his funds, then tell him, okay, look, man, we're gonna ask you right now for allowance. Every step of the way, you need to share with the user what you're gonna do, because I've seen a lot of apps when, you know, you get to a point and it's like you're stuck, you're hanging, you know, and then the founder, you know, tells me, okay, man, you got to do this now. And okay, he came in and told me in the call, but the user, you know, will just close the fucking app and then, you know, that's it, game over. But this is extremely important in a way that it gives your app a continuous flow, okay, and it gives clarity to the user to see what's happening, what's going on with the app, what's going on with his money. And we are handling assets, right? When you're dealing with Web3, you're usually handling assets. Onboarding experience. This is usually only games do this. I don't know why. It's only popular in games. I've rarely seen it in apps. But this is very important, okay? Your user needs to be shown what to do, okay? Example to the previous example I gave, like the founder showing me what to do. If you show your user what to do, you will have a more educated user in your app, and this is something you want. You want the app to become a second nature, and by giving him a very, very clear and big onboarding experience, you know, like in the games, when you go in and it tells you, you know, you need to feed the pigs and then you need to kill the enemies. This is the same thing that needs to happen in any app, in my opinion, a very, very short and clear onboarding experience. Once you get some users, okay, which is, to be honest, the hardest part, even if you give free solutions and free anything, it's hard, always hard to get real users, okay? This is the hardest part, guys. So when you get the users, the first users, make sure you talk to them and get some feedback on your app. This is the best part, actually, when you talk to the users and they tell you, no, this sucks, this is good, fix that, do that, and then you get some real users using it. I mean, obviously you are the first user, right? But you shouldn't drink your own Kool-Aid, and you should always ask your users what's going on. Let me give you, this is a very small mistake that I've made. I don't know if there are any developers here. Are there any devs here in the audience? Okay, do you guys know Nodemon? Nodemon, you know, when you develop on TypeScript and you save and it refreshes, right? Okay, so it was back in 2022, I think 2021 or 2022, you know, deploying on Ethereum was super expensive. It was like, I think, $15,000 to $20,000 to deploy a smart contract, okay? So we built this, you know, amazing deployment script for, you know, we had like 8 smart contracts. It was everything was very cool. And it also gave you a JSON in the end. So what happened is that when we deployed, when we ran the script, it saved the result JSON file, right? It saved the result JSON file. And what happened is it refreshed the script. So we deployed like 4 times, and it cost around $50,000 instead of costing $10,000, which was very awful, very bad feeling, guys. So do not use Node-RED when you're deploying, and make sure to test it very carefully. Yeah, this is it pretty much. I think it was quite short. Anyone has any questions? You know, something you want to ask?
Hello, hello. Yes, I have a question regarding user feedback. So usually how I experience user feedback is the user have so many like input that is like nice to have, but I experience I have to ask them the right question. Like what is the right question, like, or like filter out the noise, like filter out all the wishes, but what is actually needed, like how you approach this. Like how, are you just listening to the user, or are you like specifically asking questions?
Look, you can ask the user, you can ask him the question. It depends on the person that you're asking, right? If he's, no, it starts to become like a job, right? To start to give you real, authentic, you know, drill down. You want to basically drill down the user. You want to know really what he wants. But I think you should just take the feedback and implement it, and implement some of it. Obviously, there's many things, right? There's a lot of things. There's a wing of stuff he will tell you, right? He will tell you, I want this and that and that and that. So you can maybe just give him one thing, okay, which will obviously the simplest thing to develop, right? You want to spend as little money as possible and as little dev time as possible, but something that will also make him happy, right? You want to make the guy happy that he's heard. It feels amazing, you know, even for us, right? When we give feedback to an app and then, you know, they change it, it's amazing, right? So maybe experiment with it, okay? It depends on the person. If he's a tech guy, you know, then you can drill him. But if usually these guys are not technical guys, right? So maybe give him something, you know, and then you can start drilling him down and see what he wants. But I would be careful of it because it starts to feel like work, you know. You need to be very careful, right? You need to just keep him happy. Just keep the guys happy, to be honest. This is the main, because if they're not happy, they just forget about you and they move on with their lives, you know. It's a very fast world. There's so many apps out there, it's insane. I mean, right now, as I was speaking, there are launched like thousands of apps. So the competition is insane. The go-to market today is very easy. It's very easy to make an app, even now with AI. I don't know if you guys have tried, you know, Copilot and stuff like that. These things are crazy, right? It's insane. Hopefully they will improve it and they will make our lives easier. But it will also, again, reduce the bar to enter to the market, right? And then all you will need to do is, you know marketing very good, which is also, you know, something that everybody needs to know. Oh, I hope I answered your question and helped you a bit. Anybody else has any question? Any problems with developers you have? You want to hear my opinion? All right, guys. Okay, thank you. Just a moment, let me pull up the next thing that's happening. All right, we have security advice with Cantina. Oh yeah, I think it's actually happening in 30 minutes, I think. Yeah, you can close it, yeah. There's supposed to be another talk now, security advice with Cantina, but I think it's in 30 minutes. So maybe I will do a quick dance or something.